Hello, and welcome back to the Book Club. My name is Chandler.
And I'm Hayden.
And today we're going to be talking about Act Your Age, Eve Brown. I'm very excited about this dbbc because for the first time ever, Hayden has not given me his thoughts and feelings ahead of time. Usually, before we even start one of these videos, he's told me his initial thoughts, like maybe a star rating, maybe just like the vibe.
Or, yeah.
I don't know the vibe.
I'll at least have had something to say, you know, while reading it, because normally it's so bad that I can't contain myself.
But today, all of that is going to change because we're reading a book that I think is really good. I gave it 5 stars the first time I read it. And actually, this is only the second time that I'm reading it. I don't know that much, but I do know that Hayden didn't hate, or isn't hating this book. We're not done with it. We're only like 30% of the way in. Have I said that? It's another vlog situation. They're gonna be vlog situations going forward, but 30% in.
Yeah.
I know the only thing Hayden has told me is that there was a disclaimer at the beginning of this book talking about like trigger warnings. He knew that was a good sign compared to some of the other things we've been reading lately. I
didn't even necessarily say good sign. I just knew that it meant that we were in a different realm.
Yes, but I assumed that would like mean that you would like this book more, and I did ask him yesterday to spoil a little bit, just say like, hey, do you like this one more? And he said, yeah. I guess we can get into it.
That being said...
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it almost, you know, it makes it like a little more boring in terms of video content.
Oh, does
because
it?
I have less like
wild
shit to say.
Maybe
you know?
now.
Okay. We will see.
Things don't get problematic, but things get like fun to talk about.
Okay.
With this book.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I'm not that
There's
far.
one scene in particular that I really am excited to get Hayden's take on. So, yeah. I should be wearing my Dumb Bitch Book Club shirt for this. I didn't. I'm wearing my I'd Rather Be Reading Romance. Don't worry. I will wear a dbbc sweatshirt tomorrow to make up for it. Starting out with this book. This is actually the 3rd book in a series of standalones.
I was going to ask you about that because I could tell on the Audible page for it, it always tells you what number in the series it is, if it's part of a series, and I was like, oh, that's kind of strange that I'm starting, like, kind of in the middle, but I figured that it was still kind of like a standalone story. Yeah.
Most romance series are standalones. Like, there's some characters that are related, like Danny and Chloe, her sisters, have their own books.
Okay. Well, I was like, I don't even know who Danny and Chloe are.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that they've even, like, said their names.
Yeah, they have.
They have? Was it at the very, very beginning?
No, it was, like, a chapter that just happened. She was, like, on a phone call with both of them, and they were offering her advice.
I don't think I've read that chapter.
You told me to read through chapter 7, is all I'm saying.
No, I said I was on chapter 7.
Okay, well, I'm pretty sure it was, like, the chapter before anyway, so.
Because I didn't read it. I haven't heard that.
Do we believe him?
Folks, I have not heard her on a phone call with anyone, especially not like towards, you know, the end of where we were reading. But anyways, her sisters have their own books, which is what I was also gleaning just from the, I guess, like, title of the series. I can't remember what it is, but it's like something sisters.
Brown sisters. This book opens up with our main character, Eve, and we know that she is a little bit of a mess of a person. She just closed down a business by deleting all of her social media handles and her website. Her parents are like, yo, we're cutting you off. No more trust fund. Get a fucking job. And you know what? Good for them, frankly. I liked that. I think that was like a fun opening to a book. I think it's interesting the way that Talia Hibbert writes, because if anyone else had written that opening, I think I would have been irritated and like not drawn to the character. Because like, I mean, it's like a privileged position, right?
Yeah.
But I was like instantly like, okay, like what is this girl gonna do next? Because I think
she seems kind of fun.
She seems fun and not like a brat.
I was gonna say bratty. Yeah. She doesn't seem bratty. One interesting point that I want to bring up real quick while we're talking about the very beginning, it did make me realize how many of the books that we've read are rich girls. So many of them are really wealthy rich girls, and the main like
it is kind of a common
point
trope.
Is like getting cut off unless X, you know? And it's normally around getting a job or like doing something to prove that they're like kind of a responsible adult. Obviously Credence wasn't the same in terms of like she needed to prove herself, but she was a rich girl, you know?
That's
and like obviously she was very far removed from the common tropes of rich girls that we see in books like this one and in books like It Happened One Summer. You know, they're kind of like stuck up and bratty. She was very much like removed and like reserved and stuff like that, and didn't.
But we don't care about that one. We care about this book right here.
Yeah. But I just thought it was interesting how many we've read that were rich girls.
Yeah,
you know?
that is a valid bring up.
You're gonna have to give me a poor girl book sometime.
The poverty picks for Hayden. Let us know. Figure out what Eve's gonna do. She hops in her little car and she's like, you know what? I'm just gonna vibe. I'm gonna have fun. I'm pissed off. She's in the car and she ends up stopping in this like charming little town because who wouldn't? That's definitely something I would do. I like like going on little drives and going to charming little towns. When she arrives in this town, she sees like a gingerbread festival or something like on the way there, like that's gonna be a thing in the future. It hasn't happened yet.
There's like signs.
Yeah, and then she sees a cute bed and breakfast. She decides she's gonna stop there, and she sees a sign that says something to the effect of like, we're hiring cooks, cook interviews today. And so she, is gonna go to one. And I should make it clear that no one in this book has that sort of accent, because this is set in England.
Yeah, which I would not have picked up on had I not been listening to the audiobook.
Oh, is it
would have
British
taken
narrators?
Oh yeah. All of them are
damn.
British
I wish
narrators.
I was listening to the audio. I'm reading the physical copy of the book.
So like, do they mention early in the book that it's set in the UK?
I don't know that they mention it. It's easy to pick up on, I think.
It's easy for you because you're obsessed with, UK culture.
I don't know that I would say I'm obsessed. I just know a lot about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have like the Union Jack on my wall. I'm not a fucking weirdo.
Yeah, I don't think the people in the UK have the Union Jack on their wall.
But I'm saying like someone in the US that was obsessed would do that.
Anyways, she's gonna go apply for a job. I did find it interesting that they like kind of waited to even mention her past experience with cooking until she sees the job listing or whatever, like sees that they're hiring.
Well,
she's like, oh, well, I've done that before. And not only have I done this before, but like all of my friends are constantly asking me to make them food and, cater their events and stuff like that.
What was she supposed to do? Like drop all of the different things she has experience with?
No.
I mean, it was convenient.
I wasn't saying that it was a problem. I am saying that I liked it because it kind of fits her character as a person, She's very much like, whatever's happening right now, right in front of me, that's what I'll take care of, which means that everything else goes by the wayside and then also ends up crumbling the thing that she is currently doing because she doesn't take care of all of the rest of it, right? So we don't know that much about her. We know that she was like a party planner and stuff, and then she sees the job and she's like, maybe I'll try that because
I've already done that.
Heck, I've done that before, I've done that a couple times.
So she ends up showing up, and there's two people that are kind of carrying out the interviews. There's Monty. There's also Jacob, is his name? Yeah.
Yes,
the hero of the story.
It's been like a week or two for me since I read the beginning of this, but I remember it, just not exactly.
His name is Jacob, and he is very grumpy. This is definitely a Grumpy Sunshine story. He's very grumpy, is unimpressed with her. She's wearing a shirt. What does it say? Something like, "You're stupid" or something.
I think it says something about like her mood.
I don't think so. I think it's like, I'll put right here what it says. Jacob is not impressed because she doesn't have a CV/resume. She doesn't have any like true experience. She's not like, oh yeah, I worked at this culinary institute and did all these things. But like, she has the experience. So she's like, just let me cook for you. And he insists that that's not a thing. She can't do that. She ends up deciding to leave. Upon leaving, she backs into this man. She like runs him over, hits him with her car. And that starts a beautiful, I was gonna say friendship, not really a friendship.
No, not at all.
It
starts her job because he has to go to the hospital, and Monty's like,
I need someone to help run.
Yeah, you need to take care of this place while he's in the hospital, and like, I'm not gonna be here either. And
he's the only person that's employed here. He does all of the cleaning, he does like everything except for the cooking. And their chef won the lottery and is no longer working there.
Yeah.
That's the reason that like, necessitated them needing a cook in the first place. But yeah, that's kind of, I would say, the gist of the first part of the book. There's not a ton that happens beyond that. I mean, I've read a little bit more, but I guess Hayden hasn't.
Where I read up to, he comes back from the hospital. She's been like avoiding all of the guests while he's gone. He comes back, he realizes that, she's got to prepare to make breakfast in the morning, and so she goes in the kitchen, figures everything out, and is killing it and like having a good time, and all of the guests seem to enjoy what's going on, and she's making breakfast. Jacob wakes up, realizes that she's downstairs in the kitchen. He's like obviously pissed off about it. He's like, you gotta leave. And she's like, you can barely stand.
Oh yeah, and then she feeds him.
Yeah, and then she feeds him because she's like, now.
And I don't mean like she makes food. She physically feeds the man.
Yeah, because she's like,
I'm telling them. I know you read the fucking book.
She says like, we talked about me cooking for you as like kind of a test for me to get this job. Why don't you just let me do it for you now? And he's like, well, how am I supposed to eat? And she's like, well, I'll feed it to you. He mentions, you could just hold the plate for me and I could eat from the plate. And she's like, yeah, but that's like a servile gesture, I am not servile, so...
And I liked that. She feeds him, and I thought that was delightful. I've never seen that in a book before. I mean, I say that, I actually have, but it's usually in the reverse. It's usually a man feeding a woman. I liked this. I thought it was a fun kind of twist.
Especially when he's grumpy and doesn't want it to happen.
And I think...
makes it funnier.
It does. And I think there are a lot of moments in this book that are not things that I haven't read before necessarily, but they're done in a way that I haven't read before. Like, there's a scene later on that was very memorable for me, and I was like, yeah, I've, like, seen that kind of in a book, but never in this way, and I liked that. So I think that's something that I appreciate about Talia Hibbert's writing.
I had a question about the writing, actually.
Sure.
Would you say that all of the books are written in this way, or would you say that this book is written, like, kind of in the mode of the character that we're...
I mean, they're all sisters, so the books are slightly different, but they're all funny and, like, kind of quippy.
Because I was going to say, but it feels like her character, is why I'm saying
and the other books feel like the other characters as well. But all the characters are a little bit funny. So I think you kind of get that vibe from all of the books. But I do think that she does a really good job at, like, tailoring out the writing to the characters. But, I mean, she has, like, a funny writing style, so...
No, I will say I am very much enjoying the writing style. Maybe more so than any of the other DBBCs, I will say. Like, even the other, like,
really
good books that you've asked me to read. I say good in quotations. I mean, like, ones that you've given a good rating to and still think that that rating holds up. You think that they're kind of indicative of the genre and stuff like that. But I've been enjoying this one more than all of the other ones. I'm not saying that it's like a favorite book of all time or that I'm gonna become a romance reader, but if I had to read one, I would rather read one like this.
Okay, fair enough.
It's kind of fun, you know?
It is fun, yeah. To me, like, this and the Tessa Bailey are kind of in the same vein. Like, they're both rom-coms, you know? They're both supposed to be fun.
Yeah, and
that
I
one's
get
also,
that.
like, dirty raunchy. I'm not saying this one isn't, but...
I'm just saying, I guess what I'm trying to say is I like Talia's writing more.
That's fair.
Than Tessa's.
Okay.
And did I only read one Tessa book?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
You've read a couple of Penn books. You've only read one Tessa book.
I don't know if any of the other ones
her writing
are
is
different, or if it's like very similar to that.
I mean, I would say most writers tend to have a style they stick to,
which makes sense. You know, yeah, I would say I like this more because it feels more fun than the other one. Not to say that the other one wasn't fun at all, but it was a little more like
it did have some serious.
It was a little more like Hallmark movie to me, where it was like kind of like what you see is what you get. You know, like I don't really know how to describe what I mean, but it was kind of like more to the point, whereas it's a little more like, oh well, what's gonna happen next, and it's kind of funny at the same time, you know? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's like where I ended, and that might have been like middle of chapter 7 or something like that.
Probably middle of chapter 6, because I've definitely gotten further than that.
No, it's 7 for sure.
Chapter 7.
You said that you finished chapter 7, so
and you said chapter 7, and so I did chapter 7. It's fine. He'll just have to catch up to me, which is normally not how these work. Yeah, I'm having a good time with it. Like the character dynamics. I like Jacob's characterization too. Like, I think he's a pretty fun character. Like, I like the way that he's written in his POV. This is a third-person story, but it's third-person omniscient. Basically, like, you can tell who's narrating at the time, but also it says Jacob said this, or he felt this. You know what I mean? So it's like not first. It's not first person, but I don't know what the fuck you call it when it's like limited. So yeah, I guess we'll continue reading the book. We haven't really gotten to like any of the romantic inclinations though. He has popped a chub for her, so
yeah. Aside from him, like,
that's pretty romantic.
Like angrily saying to himself that she's like cute, or you know, like staring at her hips.
Hideously pretty. I think that's what he says.
And then at one point he does like stare at her hips or something
because she bumps a door closed with her hip, and he's like, he wants to tell her not to do that. But he's also like, no, I don't, because I like that.
He wants her to bump him around with her hips.
All right, so we read more of Eve Brown. I think we're like 50% in now.
Yeah, 50%.
Chapter 12 happened. It wasn't actually that juicy. I feel like I'm making it sound like that was a real landmark chapter.
No, it's been kind of like a slow build ever since where we last left off of just like little thing needs to be done. They have some kind of like thought in their head about the other person being attractive, and then things continue.
I think that's a pretty fair analysis. I will say there was a moment in one of the chapters that genuinely like made me smile when I was sprinting. It was the moment where, oh god, there's like a couple of moments actually now that I'm thinking about it. The thing that really made me smile though was when they were at the like gingerbread committee meeting, and there was like someone,
oh yeah, for sure,
there was someone kind of being a little bit mean to Jacob and basically trying to imply that, like, making fun of him for his autism.
He's calling him Spock.
Yeah, like, yeah. Eve sticks up for him and pulls like such a brilliant move, and this is something that like I want to start doing if I ever get into this sort of situation. He makes the joke and no one thinks it's funny, but like no one really says anything, and she speaks up and she's like, oh, like what do you mean by that? When you ask someone that question, immediately feel stupid, because having to spell out why you were saying that makes you look like an asshole because you were being an asshole. Exactly. So it was really kind of nice getting to see that moment and just see how Eve like immediately stood up for him. Didn't have to, not that he would like ask her to do that, but like she just instinctually knew to do that. And it was very well written, and it was subtle, the dialogue happened as well too. It wasn't like over the top. And here's the thing, I think that sticking up for, you know, a prospective partner is always a cool idea. But I think sometimes it can be a little bit overbearing, especially if you don't know what dynamic you're going into. And I think this was the perfect situation because it was like fairly low stakes. This was not someone that Jacob actively liked. I think a lot of times in a romance I'll see this happen, this sort of thing happen, but it is like the heroine sticking up for the hero in front of his parents or something. Like his parents are giving him a hard time, being an asshole to him, and then the heroine's like, you don't know him like I do, I love him. And I'm not saying that's like bad, but also you don't know his relationship 100% with his parents. You don't know if he wants you to stick up for him. Whereas in this situation, just the way it all worked out, I thought it was like really nice. And it doesn't get the same. It doesn't get the same feeling across either that this did. I was gonna say, you know, obviously I don't know that much about the romance genre, but I know, you know, common tropes in other TV and movies and stuff. I would say a lot of the times that I see it or that I can remember, it's a lot of times the guy sticking up for a girl. I would say in a lot of the romances I read now, it's pretty evenly split, like a lot of the time. That's nice. Yeah, a lot of the time the heroine actually speaks up for the hero. Like in the Haden Game, which is a really popular romance. I have it around here somewhere. Oh, right here. This one right here. She sticks up for him in front of his parents, who give him a hard time for not being a doctor, since everyone else in the family is a doctor. Oh. I mean, that was like a nice moment, but I think this was like really excellently done. And I'm trying to think of like other things that have happened. Oh, Eve also kind of sets up this really nice like hangout session for them. She makes him a nest. She does. She walks in on him at one point sleeping, and she realizes he kind of sleeps in almost like a nest of blankets. That's something that I guess just like is soothing to him sensorially? Is that a word? Sensorily? Good for him in a sensory capacity. And she decides that like now that they are kind of becoming more friendly, she's going to make him a nest, and they're gonna like watch the sunset together and listen to music and do it in like a very friend way, even though they're both having like kind of sexual feelings for each other. Not a ton. I like the way that I feel like Talia writes the sexual attraction, because it feels kind of real to me. Like, yeah, the way that she writes is maybe not how like I would think of those moments like as a person, but I like that in comparison to something like a Tessa Bailey, it doesn't feel gross. And I like Tessa's writing, don't get me wrong, but I think sometimes her stuff can be a little over the top, and I think this is more like, oh, I can't even control the fact that like I just think you're hot, and it's more of like a passing thing that happens to each of the characters. It's not something that's like really focused on, but I will say that I think Eve's character in that perspective feels more real than Jacob's like thoughts and perspectives on like whenever he has his thoughts about her being attractive. Do you think his is always like in anger or something? Like he's like angry about something or frustrated, and then he's like lets it slip, and then he's like, oh, what am I saying? You know, that doesn't feel very real to me, as opposed to like Eve being like, oh, I mean, I shouldn't think that, but like I kind of do, you know? That feels a little more real to me than his always being almost like Yosemite Sam style. You know, like he kind of hates her, but like he can't help but love her. Yeah, I will say I do think that like, not that this book is enemies to lovers, but I think that's something that I notice in an enemies to lovers book. It just feels unrealistic to me that they have this like heated sexual tension, but also they have like no interest in each other. Like I feel like for me, if I don't like someone, I don't find them attractive. Like there's just not really. And for me, it's less of even that, and it's more so the specific things that he'll say while he's like angry about something that she's doing. And then he'll be like, oh, I'm so angry, but those voluptuous breasts, you know, what am I talking about, you know? And then I'm just like, no one would have that thought, like, while also being angry about something. Yeah, I think that's fair. Like, maybe not having them, like, in the same sentence. So, you know, like, he gets frustrated, then gets over it, and then maybe is like, damn, she also looks really good today. Or it could be, you know, he does think that she, like, looks good, but it just, the way that it is expressed, the specific words and statements that are used. Do you think that it's also, like, I don't want to say an issue, but do you think that part of the issue is that it's written by a woman, like the male perspective is written by a woman? I actually want to ask you that because I don't think I've ever asked you that, and it's something that constantly I think about. Whenever you're reading a dual POV romance with hero and heroine, how inaccurate is the male perspective written by a woman? Like, have you ever like read a perspective that's supposed to be like from the guy's perspective and thought like, oh, like that seems real? Or are you always kind of just like, I would never think these thoughts.
Yeah, I would say mostly the second one. I would say most of the time I'm like, I would never think these thoughts. To be fair, it is a story.
Yeah.
These characters are not real people.
I suppose, sure.
I have no idea how you feel about the female perspectives in these books, and like if they feel, kind of genuine or not.
I think some of them do, some of them don't. Like this one, I would never think the thoughts that Eve thinks, because they're a little, like, funny, and, like, I just don't have her same train of thought. But I would say, like, the characters in an Elsie Silver romance, I would say I feel akin to them. I think those characters are written very realistically. But, yeah, I have always wondered that, so I'm glad I actually got to ask you that.
No, but also, like I'm saying, to be fair, can't say that they're not fully realistic, only because I have never read any of these books that I feel like I would relate to the male character in them,
like,
you know?
They're like, well, yeah, you don't relate to the male characters, and then also I think they're very tropey, and it's not like you and I were ever in a situation that was like enemies to lovers, you know?
Yes. Well, but I'm saying, even going back to all of the dbbc books that we've read, right? I've never had a male character that seemed realistic, or, you know, at least like realistic to any of my experiences or thoughts.
That's fair.
And I don't know if that's just because I'm not that character.
No,
you know? Or if it's unrealistic, like, kind of on purpose, because it's supposed to be a story, just like a movie. Like, no one really relates to movie characters unless it's supposed to be a really, like, kind of raw
like Succession.
story.
I think, like, some things are going for hyper-realism and some are just going for, like, pleasure. And I think, like, my story, I would love to get, like, that perfect balance, but I just don't know that that's realistic. Also, I'm writing a fucking vampire romance. Like, is that ever gonna be realistic? Yeah,
like, no one's relating to the characters in Twilight, you know what I mean? But that's because it's not to be related to realistically, you know?
Well, like, not vampires, but, like, Bella was such a self-insert character, and, like, you could put yourself in her shoes.
Up to a certain point. At the very beginning, yes.
Yeah.
Before she gets entwined with a group of vampires, yes.
Oh, I was also just going to point out that I think this is not a problem, but I think you as a person, I have never really read a romance with a hero like you.
Are you calling me a hero? Am I your hero?
No. I guess in a technical sense you are, but...
You just mean a male character, the main male character.
The lead, yeah. Yeah, I just think, like, I'm not saying you're hashtag unique or anything, but I think you're not, like, a cowboy, you're not an alpha, you're not...
Yeah, I guess what I was trying to say is, like, not in a bad way, but I'm too normal to be a part of, like, an interesting book, you know what I mean? I'm not putting myself in positions that are, like, book worthy and, like, really good, like, novel worthy, right? Like, no one's gonna read my story and be, like, really, really entertained by it, because
I mean, we're real
pretty
people.
Normal. Yeah, exactly. No, like, no one wants to read about a normal person.
No one wants to, I mean, same.
Unless it's a normal person put into an abnormal situation, right?
I just think even from the personality perspective, I don't even mean, like, the actual archetype, because I've never read, like, an archetype like me, because I am an actual person that exists. I do think, again, with, like, an Elsie Silver character, some of the ones that don't let people in as much, I feel like I relate to those characters, so I think, I mean, they're also written from a female perspective, so it makes more sense that I could relate, but I think for you in particular, like, you're definitely a cinnamon roll. Like, we can definitely put that down.
What does that mean?
Like a nice guy.
Is that what they call them? Cinnamon rolls?
Yeah, like, that treat the heroine just, like, really well and are just, like, really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. What other, like, things would I put on you? I wouldn't say, like, guy falls first necessarily, but, like, let's go cinnamon roll. He definitely is a cinnamon roll hero, but I feel like...
I think I fell first.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. I think I said I love you first.
Maybe. But if you did, that was only because, you know, I thought I maybe would scare you away with it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I beat you to it. I mean, we were, how old? Like 15?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Back then, you didn't just, like, say I love you. Or at least it was, like, kind of a thing like that was... if you said it and the other person didn't agree yet, then it was, like, real awkward and, like...
I don't think I really gave it that much thought, to be honest.
Oh, well...
I was like, yeah, I don't know. I think we were dating for, like, 2 weeks, to be honest.
No, it was definitely more than that, for sure.
I feel like I said it before we kissed, though.
Wow, what a hussy.
No, that's the opposite. The opposite of a hussy. She proclaimed her love and then, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways.
I was just thinking about our life, you know.
Yeah, too much of it.
All of the beautiful moments. That's pretty much it. I feel like we don't have any... Do you have any other, like, thoughts, I guess, on this part of the book?
No, there hasn't been too much that has happened. Mm-hmm. I would say that was, like, very significant, aside from the like, gingerbread festival confrontation moment and the
duck pond,
like making of the palette. Oh yeah, the duck pond where they fell in and then he like got her out, and then there was the only other thing was like the storeroom closet moment.
Oh yeah, they like
the
overhear some patrons like having a fight, which is really funny.
And then he like drops a bottle of glass cleaner and she catches it and then like puts
she's
her
like
head
face level with his donger.
Yeah.
So
she's like talking about the shape and stuff, and then basically it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll report back. I actually gotta go because my sprints just ended, or like this sprint ended, and anyway, we'll be back with our final thoughts and feelings. Very excited to hear Hayden's thoughts on a chapter that's happening soon.
Yay.
Alright friends, we finished Actor Age Eve Brown, and I'm excited to hear Hayden's like final thoughts and feelings on this book and that infamous purple scene, you know?
Oh yeah. Honestly, I'm like surprised and not surprised that you were like really excited for me to get to that chapter and like hear my thoughts.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen a scene like that in the books that we've read, have we? I think for me,
what do you mean by like that?
Use of a toy in the boudoir, and also like, I don't know, I just feel like the writing of it was fun and like really nice, and
yeah, I would agree. But like I was saying, it wasn't like, to me it wasn't like shocking or anything.
Well,
so that's why
yeah,
I was kind of thinking
like
it was going to be more than that.
Yeah,
but
that's the thing.
That's why I'm saying I guess I'm not surprised, because that's not what this book is.
Yes.
And in terms of the book, was definitely the more
spicy.
Yeah, spicy scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's talk. I feel like where we last left off, what happened?
Believe when we last left off, they had just had their like closet scene where they were like in the storeroom closet. They were listening to the people argue.
Supply closet. Yeah, they were listening to people argue.
And then he like the chapter ends with him saying something about like everything about you matters or something like that.
Oh no. Yeah. I think, was that before or after the nest? Because the nest, we talked about the nest.
Oh, we did talk about the nest.
So that I think anyway,
maybe that was the leave off point for
this.
The first one?
Yes.
Maybe?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Whatever.
Basically, they have like their little hangout where they determine that they want to be friends. But before that's over, things become less friendly and more sexual.
Yeah.
So they're hanging out on a pull-out sofa, essentially, that Eve is staying on. They find a toy, or Jacob finds a toy in the bed and is just
it's a little choo-choo train.
Immediately into this. He is like not intimidated by it. He's not like, oh my god, scandalized. He's like, I'm hot for you and I need you now.
Yeah.
And I liked that. I thought that was fun, personally. I think the way that it was done was nice. I've read toy scenes in other books. Hell, I just finished a book that had a toy scene. I don't think that that's like scandalous, come on. But I just liked the way that this was written. It made it kind of tantalizing and like a little bit scandy, but not something that one should be ashamed of, which I appreciate. I just liked it. I liked the way that that scene unfolded. I liked that he was really focused on giving her pleasure and was less focused on himself. He's just kicking your little toesies. Okay, so yeah, the scene, I guess, what was your interpretation? And like, how did this, I guess, stack up to other sex scenes you've read in books? Like, were you more or less into it?
Here's the thing.
I'm sure you'll tell me what the thing is.
Like I was kind of explaining earlier when we first started talking about this book.
Yeah.
It is well written. It is definitely more enjoyable. Still not necessarily my thing. Okay. So it's kind of like, it would be the same if I watched a really well done like ice skating routine. It's like, I can appreciate it, but I'm not like, oh, this being good makes me want more of it, you know?
Can't relate.
I know. And that's what I'm saying. I definitely enjoyed this more than pretty much all of the other books that we've read, right?
She's quality.
But because of that, I almost have like less to say about it.
Oh, I know. You've said that before, and I get that. And that's why I'm leading you.
I know.
So I was just trying to get your take on this.
Yeah, I know. It was good. I don't know what you mean. Like, I don't know what you want from me. I wasn't like hot and bothered, but I haven't been for, like any of this.
That's fair.
But it was definitely more tastefully written, It felt a little more real.
Yeah, I like it.
Than a lot of the other stuff.
I think the thing that I liked about it is that it felt intimate, whereas I feel like a lot of times if you're going to introduce an element like this, you're trying to make it very scandalous or like taboo or just raunchy, but this was like felt intimate and fun, and I liked it. It was all about like self-acceptance. And I think that's what I liked most about this book in general, was like the focus on both self-acceptance and like acceptance from other people, like finding people who actually care about you. I appreciate that. I think that's a good thing that Talia Hibbert does in all of her books, is like really focuses on why these characters are suitable and suited for each other. I think think a lot of romance authors try to get characters together, but they don't really know why they're actually suited for each other. And in this book, you can tell their personalities play well with each other, and I think that I could see them having long-term relationship success, like, after the book is over, just because of the way that they are written.
Well, I mean, even in the epilogue, we see that they do, but no spoilers here. It's romance.
We're all spoilers.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
So, okay, we have that intimate scene. The rest of the book really is just them, like, trying to kind of fight their feelings for each other. There's, like, a couple of break points where, like, Eve at one point goes to hang out with some friends that she makes, or, like, Jacob basically sends two of Montrose's, whatever, Mont's friends to Eve to, like,
I thought they were his sisters or something.
To take her out on the town. That was really considerate of him, really sweet of him. And he was also like, but, like, we shouldn't do any more sexy things, right? Then she comes back after that night and she's like, how do you expect me not to want to have sex with you when you just did something really nice for me? And so they do engage in intercourse. They decide they're going to be together, but then there's another break point. I think that initial break point was like him saying, like, I don't want to be with you, and then she...
It was like immediately after the first, like, intimate scene together, he's like, you should move out.
Yeah, like, he just doesn't know how to handle his emotions. But anyway, they get together, and then the, like, big conflict, or, like, third act breakup of the book is finding out that Eve was intending to, I guess, continue her party planning, which, like, was a misunderstanding, essentially. Like, he didn't really hear her out. He just assumed she's gonna leave. She had no intention of staying this whole time, or something to that effect. And so they kind of go their separate ways for just, like, a little bit, and then they, you know, proclaim
literally like a day. Less than a day.
Then they proclaim their love for each other, and all is well.
In traffic.
Which I liked. I didn't feel like this book needed a really long, drawn-out conflict. Like, the tone of this book was sweet and fun, and
I don't think that they needed a really long and drawn-out conflict, but I will say that the conflict was my least favorite part of the book. I just thought it was very silly. And, like, not in, like, a, you know, having a hard time, like, accepting yourself enough to see that someone else can be accepting of you in a relationship, but more so the like, whole party planning thing, because she, like, didn't even want to do that in the first place. But then they just drop it in, like, a couple of times in the book where she, like, remembers that she's doing that, and she's like, that means I have to leave everything here in 3 weeks from now. And it's like, why does it mean, no, what? You have to, like, never do any of this again because you have to plan one party, and you don't even want to do it, so why are you feeling like you're forced to do it?
I didn't interpret it that way, and I also actually kind of appreciated this third act conflict, not because they were broken up for a day or it made, like, a ton of sense for the couple, but I think it was important to Eve's character development because she has often just let people kind of control her, throw her around. She tries to please other people, and people are telling her, you need to go back to this because it was a successful business. She doesn't want to do that, and so this is the force that she needed to tell her parents, like, yo, I know what the fuck I want. I want to work at this B&B, like, this is actually bringing me joy. She figures out she really likes serving people, and she didn't really feel like she was doing that so much with the wedding planning or, like, event planning. And I think she just kind of let it linger because it was, like, the last vestiges of her actually trying to please people. And so that third act conflict was not just the third act conflict with Jacob, but it was the self-actualization that she needed.
Yeah, I guess. Like, I can see both perspectives. I just, like...
I mean, I'm not saying it was, like, fun to read, like, yeah.
No, I just thought it was a little silly because she didn't seem like she wanted to do it at all in the first place, you know?
Sure, but, like, there was more to that motivation than just, like...
And, in combination with that, they don't talk about it, like, the whole book. Like, it's mentioned one time when she has a phone call, the first time that she gets offered the job. And then literally, like, one other time in the book, she's like...
Well, she doesn't talk about it with Jacob.
Okay. No. Not talk about it with Jacob. Like, even internally, the only time that she thinks about it one time during the book.
And that's in conflict with what you were saying earlier. But also, yes, I agree. She doesn't mention it often because it's not something that is actually her interest. Like, she doesn't care about it.
That's what I'm saying. That's why it's silly.
She doesn't tell Jacob about it. And so he's like, has she been plotting this the entire time? What the fuck? Like, he is concerned. So, all I'm saying is, it made sense to me, and I wasn't mad at it. But... You know.
I wasn't mad at it. I just said it was my least favorite part.
That's fair. I feel like I just, like, summed up the book really quickly, but, like, that is kind of the book. Like, the book is not about these wild plot moments. It's about the moments between the characters, the banter, the way it's written. And I think that's what I like. I'm a simple bitch, okay? Like, give me a couple of well-written sex scenes, give me good character development and good relationship development. That's all I need. I don't need 15 fucking sex scenes. I'm so sick of it. Sorry. I'm reading books for a KU video right now, and it's just sex scene after sex scene, and, like, I don't care about how many holes you're getting stuffed. Like, what is that telling me about why y'all are compatible with each other long term?
Also, I will say, and I know that this doesn't have anything to do with the book itself. Narrator for this audiobook, so much better than, like, all of the other ones.
I didn't listen, so
I know.
Yeah.
It was great.
Damn. Well, I wish I
I
listened.
normally have such a big problem with the narrators for romance audiobooks. I don't know why, but
I mean,
it seems to take away from the story for me. It takes me out of it. It makes me think about this narrator and how much I don't like them, as opposed to drawing me in deeper or making it more fun or something like that, which this one did. It really fit the story. She was kind of like fun.
Was it just a female narrator?
Yeah, it was just a female narrator.
I mean, that makes sense, just given the way the story's written.
But yeah, I don't know. She was just kind of fun and British, and it just, like, it fit.
Yeah.
So I liked it, which is, I just needed to point it out because it's in contrast to, or it's in opposition to, like, all of the other.
So, like, if you liked this one more than the others, I guess what would you rate this? And not on, like, not on a smut scale or, like, a, you know, dbbc scale, but, like, just as a book, I guess, like, what would your star rating be?
As a book?
Just, like, 3-star for you, maybe?
Yeah, 3.
3-star?
It definitely wasn't a slog to get through.
Yeah.
It was an appropriate length for the story.
Yes.
Because it is kind of light and fun, and I don't think that you could make it longer and keep it light and fun. It would start to get a little, like, grating after a while, right? And it was written well. I really didn't have almost anything bad to say about the book, except for, you know, I wasn't, like, a super huge fan of the conflict. Like, I think there could have been something, like, maybe a little bit deeper, but I also understand that, like I said, it's, like, kind of a light and fun book. Like, there are a couple of moments of some kind of deeper topics that are, like, a little heavier. So it's not like it was all just sunshine and rainbows, but I liked it.
As a romance reader, obviously this is a 5-star read for me. There wasn't anything that I didn't like. I think for Haden, it was probably similar. Like, there wasn't anything you didn't like, but it's just not your preferred genre.
It's not my preferred genre. Yeah, it's not exciting, and it love a longer book, but that's because I enjoy a story that takes longer to tell, you know? That doesn't just mean that I just want my books to be long. I want it to be appropriately long for the story, but I tend to enjoy stories that are a lot more in-depth and involve a lot more characters, each one of them having their, you know, own growth and stuff like that. I'm not saying anything bad about this.
I know.
I'm just saying, like, that I tend to want to pick up, like, an audiobook or a book and be engaged in that story for a long time. Yeah.
No, I totally get that. But yeah, like, again, I think as a romance reader, as a person who's in this genre often, I think this is a good example of the genre and, like, what it can be. Full of acceptance, diverse characters, great comedy, great sexiness. Like, there just isn't anything in this book that I would really change.
Yeah, no, I would say that this is number one dbbc. This doesn't belong in dbbc.
I mean,
there's no dumb bitches here.
Listen, we call it the Dumb Bitch Book Club, but I think at this point we've gotten past just reading dumb bitches and YA stories.
Have we?
I mean, I'm not saying we're never going to read a dumb bitch.
No. I just mean, like, tell me a book that we read that wasn't about a dumb bitch, you know?
This one.
Before this one. That's why I'm saying this one doesn't belong.
I'm saying I think there's other ones too.
Yeah.
I mean, from my perspective. I mean, we are the dumb bitches, I think, at this point.
That's true. At this point, always have been.
And y'all are our fellow dumb bitches.
Yeah.
A lot of people ask why we call it the DBBC, and I thought we made it clear that it's the Dumb Bitch Book Club, so.
Yeah. Initially, I would say that was different because, you know, we started by reading Twilight.
Yeah, so that was a whole different thing. But, you know.
But at this point, we've evolved.
We're Live, Laugh, Loving. I would like to know, I guess, what y'all want to see from us next. And this does kind of raise, I guess, the question for Haden, like, what you are looking for. Like, if this is going to be, like, not the immersive story you want, like, do we embark on a fantasy series that has some dumb bitches? Like, what do we do next, you know? Sarah Janet has a 7-book series that Haden hasn't read, and I know.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, you sure do.
Sarah Janet? Yeah. Who's that?
Miss Mass?
Oh, Sarah Janet. Okay, I see. Miss Mass.
I think that could be fun. There's a lot to talk about. Yeah, there's a lot.
Just because it's 7 books? I bet they're all long as hell, too.
Not all of them, and also, I just know you, and I know that you would have blistering commentary. So that's definitely an option. We could do something like that, or we could do just, like, more one-off romances. There's obviously, like, standalone adult fantasy romances. He was mesmerized by the trash truck.
I just heard a sound. I just looked out the window. No, I mean, it doesn't have to be fantasy. Like.
No, I know, but.
I don't want this to sound bad, but I'm not necessarily in this to enjoy it, you know?
I want to find something that you enjoy, though. I do. I
Good
really
luck.
do. I know, it's so hard. He's hard to please, but, you know.
I don't think Miss Mass is going to provide that. That's all I'm going to say.
She'll provide endless entertainment, and that's all I ask.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, for this, I would rather be entertained than, like, enjoy. I'm not looking to fall in love with a book here.
We'll find
with
it
this
one
book
day.
club, you know?
I'm fully determined, and we will find it one day.
I mean, if you do...
Let us know. Just let us know what you want to see. Do you want to see more of this? Do you want to see, like, just juicy thoughts? Also, I'm sorry that I just showed you my toe. That was a mistake. But yeah, let us know. More of this. Fantasy. What do you want to see from this?
Where'd that thing go?
I put the toe away, okay? That thing. Don't call it a thing. On that note, me and my grippers are gonna get the hell out of here. I gotta go to Houston. If you were admiring this t-shirt, it's coming soon. Love y'all so much. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time.
Until next time.